there's just she looks or he looks at their phone and you're wondering, who's that now they're texting, or who's texting her? Who's texting him? Because again, that little unbalance has just unbalanced you enough. It's like that tiny little stone in our shoe.
Peter.
Walsh. Well, come here, lads. How we getting on? What's the fucking story here now? We're back. We are back. And today we're going to be looking at 10 mistakes people who undervalue themselves make in relationships. Now, this is an interesting one, I think. This is quite a good, interesting one. And I think there's some things that we need to point out on this one. Because we've all been guilty of this one, right? Hey, I've definitely been incredibly guilty of this one where I was staying in relationships because it's not that I actually thought I didn't deserve them. I felt guilty, and that's why I thought I didn't deserve them. You see, the point is this: you have to understand why we put up with these. Why? And you'd be surprised, guys. We put up with a lot of crap. Like, for instance, if I was a real prick now, a bastard to a woman in my ex, let's say, like this total example, did you ever think that that can carry into the next relationship? Like, subconsciously you always knew that you were an asshole, even though you tried to self-delude it. And, some people go around with this, oh, I'm never wrong business. Fuck off. Yeah, you're full of shit, man. You're never wrong? Really? The ego behind that is amazing. But I mean, in fairness, all of us, including myself, we can all go into denial every now and then, right? Delusional, we're just not ready to face something. And yet at the same time, it's in the back of our head, cooking away. Subconsciously, we feel guilty for treating somebody like an asshole. And therefore, when we get into the next relationship, we're actually going to put up with this bullshit from the other person because we actually are feeling so guilty that we feel we deserve this crap. And we're actually giving ourselves a punishment, a sentence in jail, so to speak. Do you ever think of that? Because I think that's exactly what I've been doing. Now, maybe I've got some interesting points here. Hopefully I do, guys. Hopefully I can give you some guidance of where I've messed up in the past. And believe you me, this is exactly where I started to become self-aware. When I became self-aware, guys, really start trying, and believe me, it can be very hard some days too, because you can be tired, you can be hungover, you can be distracted with other things, and denial can catch up with you too, because you're just not ready to fucking face something. But the more we can just unzip everything, just unfold it all, have a look at in Pandora's box about ourselves, you'd be amazed what you can find. So, okay, here we go. So in this article now, guys, today I'm reading, they're saying, number 1, settling for less. The first and most common mistake is settling for less than what you deserve. When you undervalue yourself, you tend to tolerate subpar treatment, thinking that it's the best you can get. You see, I don't think this is exactly where they haven't gone far enough down the rabbit hole here. When they say you undervalue yourself, but why do you undervalue yourself if you do think you are undervaluing yourself? Or maybe it's not you're undervaluing yourself at all, you're just putting yourself in the death sentence, guilt, because you need to do the crime. You need to do the time. So that's actually, in a way, that's actually not undervaluing yourself. That's going to make yourself feel better about something that you feel guilty of. So the only way to relieve your guilt subconsciously is to actually go out, have a shitty relationship with the next person, and punish yourself enough until there's a breaking point where you say, all right, that's it, we're done. So in a way, we're being selfish that way. Now, would you call it valuing yourself? Well, I don't think so. Because obviously you think enough about your opinion when you fucked someone over in your previous relationship, or you were an asshole, right? Like, if you weren't a threat to the other person, or if you didn't have, a dark side, well, it probably wouldn't have hurt the other person, right? Because it just wouldn't have mattered. You've got nothing behind you. So maybe you really actually do value yourself, but you just don't want to be the asshole in life. Hopefully it's something to think about, because I think there's a bit more here than, you undervaluing yourself. I think that's a very vague comment on that one. Now, they do say, however, this is a self-destructive cycle that erodes your self-esteem even further and keeps you stuck in unsatisfactory relationship. Well, I think that if you do genuinely feel guilt, now again, if you are going down the rabbit hole of you're doing this to punish yourself, I honestly don't think it is a self-destructive cycle, because eventually you'll jump out of it. Now, it is a self-destructive cycle in terms of what the fuck are you doing, right? And what the hell was I doing? Because before you know it, you're way down, your life is too short. But it's not a self-destructive cycle, because I personally think you know exactly what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, it erodes your self-esteem? I don't think it does. I think you get worn down, beaten down. I think, again, if you're on the path of feeling guilty, I don't think this messes with your self-esteem at all. Not at all. You'll be miserable. You'll be emotionally fucking bollocksed, spiritually wrecked, tired. But again, you have to know why you're down the rabbit hole. Do you really feel guilty? Do you really feel you want to actually punish yourself? Or do you just genuinely feel worthless about yourself? Anyway, ignoring red flags. This is number 2. People who undervalue themselves often ignore red flags in their relationship. They may downplay or dismiss signs of manipulative, controlling, or toxic behavior, convincing themselves that things will get better with time, or they can fix their partner. You see, I don't think that's what it is here. I think this is the game that we play to compensate for the guilt that we have. Like, it's hard enough to admit that we're feeling guilty about someone else, right? I mean, that could really kill you. Not actually kill you, but, it could fucking really kill you. Like, I mean, emotionally, you could be lying in your bed and crying your eyes out. It can be a tough thing to swallow sometimes for us. So we have to invent these scenarios where, what's going on here? Or, why am I doing this? So we actually create another scenario that's complete make-believe, which is based off your guilt anyway, but you just didn't want to go to the guilt part. Isn't that weird and fucked up? And fixing their partner? No. I was like that, and that was pure ego. 100% pure ego. Because here's another telltale sign, guys. If it really is about your self-esteem, right? If you think you're lacking with self-esteem with the wrong person, well then, why would you try and change them? Do you think about that? Why would you try and change the person when you don't have any worth or value in your head? If you really do believe you've got no value or worth in your head, I mean genuinely you believe it, you're not going to try and change the person because you don't have any value in, well, there's no way I'm going to change this person. I'm fucked. Do you know what I mean? Now, if you do come to the conclusion, you actually wake up and you do realize, well, actually, do you know what? This is a fuck relationship. This woman isn't going to change. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have any value, if you know what I mean, right? But like, I'm just saying that you've got loads of value in your ego thinking you're going to change the person. Tremendous amount, in fact. So if you really didn't have any value from day one, well, why would you bother trying to change them? You just give up straight away, right? You're like, no, fuck this. I can't change her. There's no way. Now, and like I said, at the end of the day, at the end of the relationship, if you do wake up and realize, that's a different scenario. You've realized, oh, fuck, what am I doing? Jesus Christ. Now, you still mightn't admit that, you're trying to make yourself feel guilty and punish yourself. That's a hard thing to admit. That's a really, really hard thing to admit. Jesus Christ. But ignoring red flags, okay? This is number 2 on the list. Ignoring red flags. See, this is what I always say about red flags. Let's say you meet somebody on a dating app or in a bar or in a coffee shop or, hey, wherever the fuck, right? And look at it this way. If you're just getting to know them, you've gone on a few dates, let's say, and there's something just not right about them. Now, let's say you're right. Now, let's say you're wrong. Either way, you could be one of those, okay? If you're right, well then, I personally think you should walk away. Because I actually do think there's a ripple effect in everything we do. Now, by the way, guys, don't get me wrong. I'm not some angel here. I've made this mistake, and I've got to be still self-aware to this day of not making that mistake again. But what I'm saying is, if we think the person is 100% red flag and we go in for the kill, that starts screwing away at our confidence. That screws away at our self-esteem. Not what the other person's doing. It's about what we think of ourselves. This is what this is all about. It's all back on us. It's nothing to do with the other person. They're just the trigger. So either way, it's going to mess with your confidence to some degree, and it might try and make you feel that you got less value, but it's the actions you're doing, not what the other person's doing. Do you get me? So I think we should all stay away from the red flags. And by the way, I've learned the hard way, guys. I can tell you that. Believe you me, I've learned the fucking hard way in these scenarios. And let's go the opposite way with red flags. Let's say we're wrong, and the person is the nicest person in the world. But maybe we're not in the right headspace. Maybe we, like we just spoke about, that we got into this stupid relationship and we got out, we realized, what the hell am I doing? And it's just wrong, bad fucking timing. Maybe it is wrong, bad timing. And maybe we should just back away. Either way, that's a red flag. My real point here is, the red flag doesn't just come from the other person, it comes from us. The red flag hits our mind, not theirs. We can't feel what they feel, we can't think what they think. It's us telling us there's a red flag. And maybe it's you are the red flag, because I certainly have been the red flag for a lot of girls. So either way, maybe you need to go off and get your mind right, or the other person needs to get their mind right. But either way, it's a fucking red flag. You're not comfortable around that person. Now, I definitely think we should all be self-aware and say, okay, well listen, is it me or is it that other person? But at the end of the day, it's still a fucking red flag. So we need to be self-aware, and we need to address this red flag. And then if it is us, well then we go work on ourselves. We go improve ourselves. But either way, the point is this. If it's you and you feel there's a red flag and you're sort of like projecting your shit onto them, that, oh, there's something dodgy about them, well, just trust that. That alone is enough. Even if they're the nicest person in the world, you're not going to be comfortable around them. There's going to be some time where maybe, let's say you're dating each other now and you're sitting down watching Netflix, watching a movie, and, there's just, she looks or he looks at their phone and you're wondering, who's that now they're texting? Or who's texting her? Who's texting him? Because again, that little unbalance has just unbalanced you enough. It's like that tiny little stone in our shoe, right? At the start, it doesn't feel much, but give it 6 months and that stone is still in the exact fucking exact position, and we're walking in these shoes every fucking day. Our foot's going to be bollocksed. It's going to be destroyed. But it's just that silent killer. So this shit builds up. This is my point. It builds up. The smallest fucking stone in the world can cause the most trouble for us. And I'm always saying too that I think, and it's very important, even for me, guys, what are we going to give to a relationship? Are we really going to be there if our girlfriend or boyfriend had a really bad day? Are we really going to take care of them? I mean, I remember a few weeks ago, guys, I only mentioned this in an episode podcast recently. I met this girl in a night out, and she's a friend of a friend, and she's a lovely girl. And she said, we were on about relationships, so she knows what I do, and so she was asking me about it, and I said, and I came around to her, and I just knew exactly where this is going. And I said, so you like to meet somebody? Oh yeah. And I said, well, what would you like out of a guy? And I'll be honest, it was a bit of a setup question, because I just wanted to see how far she'd go with this, right? And I explained to her everything afterwards. And I said, what do you want from a guy? I mean, to say the girl had a list I mean, it was almost like she had the list in her fucking bag. She took it out of her bag. Oh, well, hang on a second. Rolled it down and started fucking reading it out to me. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's almost like she had the thing learned off by heart. And the thing is, like, I asked her one simple question. Okay, you want all this from a guy. Can I ask you a question? Yeah, sure, go ahead, Peter. What are you going to give to the guy? And she looked at me like I had 50,000 heads and she went, what do you mean? I went, Jesus Christ, if you're that self-aware, surely you'd be on to what I'm about to say or what I'm getting at already. You know what I mean? If you really thought about it. And I expanded. I said, guy, okay, what are you going to give to the relationship? Are you going to give all this as well? Are you going to be there? Like, if you come home with him at the end of a night, are you going to be there for him? If he's had a worse day than you, no, you've had a really bad day and you want to vent, but he's come in the door, he's had a worse day than you, are you going to just shut your mouth and let him do the talking? And in fact, you know what? You'll put your stuff on the shelf for tonight, on ice, and you'll wait till tomorrow until he's feeling better, then you'll vent to him. Can you do that? Will you go that far? And I'm speaking about both men and women here. I'm not ruling out women here, you know? Because both men and women can be selfish. Will you really go that extra step? Do you really want to spend every weekend with the girlfriend or boyfriend? Or do you want to go out drinking out with the girls or the boys every weekend? Will you go on a holiday, hotel weekend away? Or will you go on a lad's holiday or a girl's holiday? Which one do you want to do? I mean, these are stuff that we all have to be asking ourselves, but everybody's so fucking hung up on finding someone and they need to tick the box. But yet, we've forgotten all about what we're going to do for the other person too. Wouldn't that be a good way to start? Because then at least you know you're ready. Like, the amount of people I've spoken to in the last couple of months, guys, and I've asked them this question, and then one or two of them actually have turned around and said to me, actually, do you know what? Do you know what? You actually made me feel quite a bit better. I was thinking I really wanted a girlfriend, man, and actually, do you know what? When I actually went home and thought about what you were saying, I was like, fuck, the guy's onto something here. And he thought about it and he went, actually, I don't want a girlfriend. I want to go out drinking with the lads every weekend if I can. I'd much prefer that. But he just got caught up in just that thought of having someone. Do you know what I mean, guys? And by the way, I've been there until I actually woke up and grew up, you know? And I did. I had to grow up. Fuck's sake. And we all have to be like this. So, okay. Long-winded answer about red flags. So, number 3. Neglecting personal needs. At one point, we've all made the mistake of neglecting their own needs in favor of their partners. Okay. We might put their interests, hobbies, and self-care on the back burner, losing ourselves in the process of pleasing their partner. But you see, this is what I'm on about. Shouldn't we be pleasing the other partner? You know? Like, here's the problem with a lot of relationships. We're defensive and we're hurt because we give ourselves over to somebody and all of a sudden we get hurt because we didn't get something back. But, like, why? Why are we feeling this way? Shouldn't we be giving everything to the other person? Wouldn't you sleep better at night if you didn't? If you did? Like, guys, there's been an insane amount of energy I've put into relationships with my ex-girlfriends. And I mean, insane. Stuff that actually was stinging at me at the time, going, Peter, you can't fucking do this. You can't do this. And I did it anyway because it was for the good of the relationship. I wanted it to work. I got over myself. I got over the petty little demons and voices in my head. And I just went for it and I just sucked it up, swallowed my pride, and just tried to sort it out. And you know what, guys? There's not a day goes by that I regret doing that type of effort because I wanted to be with the person. I knew I did. Like, everybody's saying, oh, you shouldn't be doing this and your personal needs. Yes, of course you've got personal needs. I mean, Jesus, right? But at the end of the day, why not go the extra leg? Why not go the extra step for the other person? Go all in. Go fucking all in. You know when we get hurt? It's when we actually don't go all in and we have doubts. You go all in every time. Believe me, you get over other previous hurts in other relationships because you've realized, wow, I can actually get over this stuff. What the hell's going on here? I'm telling you guys, there is a huge acceptance from yourself if you do this. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway, let's move on. By the way, I got a really bad cold. You know what, guys? It's the summer and I've actually got a fucking cold. Like, I don't think I've ever got a summer cold before. They suck, man. Has anybody else got a summer cold before? Man, they're weird. It's so bizarre. Nose is runny and it can actually be quite warm outside. Jesus. All right, number five. Number 5, stay alive. Staying in unhappy relationships. The fear of being alone traps those who undervalue themselves in unhappy relationships. Now this is an interesting one. I think the person's onto something on this one. Do we stay in relationships because we're alone? Or is it deeper than that? You know? Like, where I go with this is, when we were single, we were okay. We got by absolutely fine. But yet somehow magically we forget about that. So is there something deeper going on here? Do we want to punish ourselves being in the relationship? Like I said at the start of the podcast. Is it about punishing ourselves? Is it about proving that we can get the girl, get the guy, so we've got a big ego on us? Do we really fear being alone? I mean, it's a question we really should ask ourselves, including myself. Do we really fear being alone? Do we really want to be in a relationship with some asshole guy or girl? Because clearly, if you don't like the person, why would you be around them? I mean, it'd be like meeting an acquaintance guy or girl who's friends with your friend, and you don't like them. You're like, whatever, go away from me. Don't want to be anywhere near you. And you wouldn't stay around them, right? Now, I know that you share things with people, but at the end of the day, no matter how much you share with somebody, you end up hating them. Well, that goes all out the fucking window anyway, right? You know what I mean? I don't know where I land myself, to be honest, on that one. It's still a personal journey. I'm trying to figure out, do we really fear relationships or do we use it as an excuse? You know, as in, are we really fearing being alone than anything else? All right, anyway, number 6, giving up personal power. A common mistake made by individuals who undervalue themselves is giving up their personal power in a relationship. I mean, depends what personal power, right? Like, I know this girl that I was seeing there for a while. And this girl was fairly promiscuous. All right? And I found out as I was with her. She was fairly promiscuous. And you know what? Fine. Whatever. You know, as long as she wouldn't do it in a relationship, that's all I would give a damn about. But we were not in a relationship. So, fuck, hey man, who am I to judge? You know? Any guy or girl. So, the thing is, excuse me, we even had this conversation one day. Her vicious circle. Her vicious circle was... What's that there, guys? Her vicious circle was... She went off, felt lonely. She felt lonely and then decided she'd go off and sleep with a guy she didn't really like. And she'd have a one-night stand with him, okay? Because she was feeling lonely. And she said that she also felt she wanted approval from the guy. Because she was feeling lonely. So what she did, she'd go out and sleep with a guy. Then, if the guy liked her, she actually ended up hating herself because she actually resorted to going to this level. When the guy actually then actually accepted her and liked her, she went, well, hang on, why did I have to go this far to get the guy to like me? So she ended up hating her and hating him, resented him, right? And if the guy didn't like her, she felt like shit anyway. Because she had to resort to that level. So the point is this, if we start to reach, and by the way, guys, I've been here too, if we start to reach for things too much in desperation, it always comes back to us. Excuse me, like this girl. And I remember, I actually did like her. We got on very well, quite well. And then she was throwing out some really shitty comments at me one night, and I had to just walk away. I just had to fucking walk away. And I knew where it came from. And she said it. It came from, she didn't like herself now. She had to push me away. And it wasn't she didn't like me. She didn't like herself, that she had to resort herself to that level. So either way, the desperation still came back and bit her in the ass. She did not escape it. She didn't cure anything. She didn't solve anything. So she'd feel lonely. She'd go out and sleep with men on a one-night stand. Felt like shit over it. The guy would like her. Still didn't work. She'd throw some jabs or whatever it was. Or she'd tell him go fuck off. Because she resented herself and she resented him. The fact, why am I going through all this effort for you, motherfucker, in her head. And if the guy didn't like her, she was still up in destination fucked anyway. As that Aussie guy says, Aussie man fails, is it? But that's where she ended up. So, we can't give in to our desperation. We shouldn't. We shouldn't. And believe me guys, I know. It can be tough. We can get into really shitty fucking scenarios when we're dating, you know? Our lonely times, and that's okay, I get it. Like personally for me, and believe me, you know, I know it can be tough sometimes guys, but I always try and practice this. If I'm feeling lonely, that's the one time I never try and get with somebody. Because that's when you make fuck-ups. You avoid red flags. You do desperate things. Desperate times calls for desperate things. You know, things can fucking happen bad that you shouldn't be doing. You know what I mean? And believe me, I've been there. Done that. And I try to be self-aware. I really, truly do. And we can all fall into the net of desperation like that. But if we're self-aware, it's a really good thing. And I always try and be, and I hope I'm helping anyone out there, because I got myself into really shitty, hurtful situations in my past, and I would hate for anybody else to go through it. I really would. And worse, like, it would be horrible for people to go through it, and at the same time, if you don't go through it and you can get through it, you know, without a scratch, it's great, and you'll be happier with the next person. I mean, isn't life too fucking short? I mean, you know, for instance, you know the way you could have an argument with a stranger on the street for no reason, or there's road rage, right? You know, for just stupid shit. You know, what is the chances that that guy or girl you've had road rage with has had an argument with his wife or husband, and you know they're just having a bad day? You know? But what if they didn't? What if there wasn't a road rage? Then all of a sudden the person that Peter has road rage with, Peter goes home happier, that guy goes home happier, everybody's happier, but all of a sudden, you know, you had that road rage and you're 5 minutes from your home and you get home and you're fucking pissed. You're wound up like hell. You know? This shit can affect us all. So isn't it better that we all, I know this sounds corny and I know it comes from a movie, but it's so true. Can't we all just get along? You know? Shouldn't we all be striving for that? And, you know, believe me, my guys, I ain't some fucking perfect Joe Schmo here. I get my really shitty, crappy, pissy days too, you know, and I always try and pull myself out of them as best as I can without trying to delude myself like I'm full of shit guy, you know what I mean? Anyway, guys, something to think about all this. I hope some of it does help. Yeah, I really do. Oh, and by the way, but you know, actually, I should just mention it now. If you are single, my Facebook groups are actually starting to kind of pick up a bit of momentum there in the last sort of week, right? It's kind of funny. It gets really quiet and then bang, there's loads of people in, there's people hooking up, there's people getting a boyfriend, girlfriend. There's even one couple there that texted me last night saying, and it was amazing, it even brought tears to my eyes, I gotta say, it was unbelievable that actually I helped them to get to the stage that they met each other. Now, they did it at the end of the day, of course they did, but they're planning their lives together after 6 months. It's fucking amazing. Guys, Facebook groups, you don't have to pay an algorithm to get to the top and be seen. You post something in these groups, they're dating groups, you go to the top of the page and everybody will see you. Get a fair crack of the whip for everybody. The 5 groups are called Old School Dating Age 20 to 28. Excuse me. Old School Dating Age 28 to 35. Old School Dating Age 35 to 45. Old School Dating Age 45 to 55. And Old School Dating Age 55 plus. Now these are all on Facebook, not TikTok or Instagram. They're private groups, so your family and friends will not see it. If you don't have Facebook, well, get a Facebook account. They're free, and log in. You got to put up photos. And here's another big advantage, guys. We're actually policing these. Tinder and Bumble, they've way too many members to be policing everybody, right? Reporting scammers, taking down scammers, blocking, deleting scammers. They got way too much on their plate. I don't blame them. They've got millions and millions of users. So being small like our groups are is an advantage. We've got time to police these. So if there is any bullying or harassment, report it to us. We will police it. And believe you me, if there's anybody bullying you or scamming you, we will kick them out of the group so fast. Now, we've even made a few mistakes. Or sorry, not mistakes. No, I beg your pardon. I'm going to go back on that. We haven't made mistakes. There's people that have actually tried to, like an underage kid trying to get through the bouncer on a door. They're pretending they're over 18. Same type of thing here. People are putting up these lovely squeaky clean photos of themselves, and the moment they get into the group, they change their photo, they're scamming everybody, bang. Now guys, look, I don't have the time to be going through everybody's fucking Facebook profile. I ain't gonna do it, okay? This is a free service. I check the profile out, I have a quick look, okay, acceptable or not. It has to be a photo of yourself. Don't have anybody else in the photo with you, because we won't know who you are. Now, end of the day, if you do find somebody, report them to us. We'll check it out. We'll boot them out of the place. And in fairness, a lot of people do treat each other with respect in the groups, which is great, and we're going to keep it that way. So best of luck, guys, if you do go on. And guys, thanks for listening, and we'll be back again very soon with the next episode. Bye-bye.
Peter.
Walsh.